Welcome to Guru Call. Let's learn about archiving and managing records. Records management is responsible for the efficient and systematic control of the creation, receipt, maintenance, use and disposition of records, including processes for capturing and maintaining evidence of and information about business activities and transactions in the form of records. Records are information created, received, and maintained as evidence and information by an organization or person, in pursuance of legal obligations or in the transaction of business. Examples include final reports, emails confirming an action or decision, spreadsheets showing budget decisions, photographs or maps of field missions, which need to be kept as evidence. Archives are the documentary byproduct of human activity retained for their long-term value. They are contemporary records created by individuals and organizations as they go about their business and therefore provide a direct window on past events. They can come in a wide range of formats including written, photographic, moving image, sound, digital and analog. Archives are held by public and private institutions and individuals around the world. Correct records keeping will not only offer liability protection, it will also increase efficiency and productivity. Records management systems will create uniformity and understanding. Regardless of how the records management system is organized, the management will affect the way that data is collected, stored and accessed. Aspects of records management. Establish a company filing system that is uniform. Determine the storage of physical, confidential records. Develop programs for consistent management of records. And create archives and resource libraries. Records can become part of archives. Archives are records that are no longer current but are preserved past average records. Records are kept for varying lengths of time, depending on what they are. Archives typically have a historical, political, or legal reasons. They have value for the long term. When choosing to dispose of documents in records or keeping them, remember that only a few of the documents will be archived. The life of records. Documents are created or received. Records are identified. Identified documents are captured for record keeping, which follow the necessary business practices and are current. Record management occurs. The records are stored, used, or maintained. The records may be current or not current. Records that are no longer considered current may become current again in events such as audits. Records are assessed and action taken. At last, the records are identified as in use, necessary to maintain, necessary to dispose of, or necessary to archive. In words of John F. Kennedy, failing to prepare is, generally speaking, preparing very well to do the wrong thing. Managing records is an ongoing process that affects everyone in an organization. Establishing a records program with appropriate standards will help ensure that records are easily maintained. Record programs or record management programs will vary between organizations. The program is an official plan regarding how records must be maintained and who is responsible for their maintenance. All records programs need to create specific policies concerning classification and inventory, retention, conversion and storage, recovery and disaster prevention, and disposal or archive. Functional records management requires understanding the context of records within the work of the company. This includes a basic understanding of the corporate environment as well as internal and external influences on records and the organization. By collecting records and analyzing information, changes can be made to the records management program that will support organizational needs. Techniques for analyzing records. When making an analysis for records management, there are several different techniques available. These techniques work together for the best results and include functional analysis, determine the role of the department and how it operates down to the sub-functions. Structural analysis, Identify the relevant records to the department and its functions. Survey, examine records for completeness and accuracy. Environmental analysis, how do the records influence the organization and culture as a whole? Consider legal and financial implications. Collecting information. When collecting information about how records are currently managed, it is important to cast a wide net that includes internal and external information. External information examples are laws, standards of practice, and publications. Internal information examples are business plans, reports, policies, and procedures, current records management system, and history of the organization. The examples above are not extensive and can be unique to organizations. This information combined with interviews and questionnaires will identify necessary information in records management. Most records management systems focus on routine processes. It is important, however, to view all processes in their context, including creative process. A knowledge of analysis systems and records surveys will also provide a context necessary to understand best current systems and how they operate in the process of records management. Routine processes are the everyday actions that have repetitive steps or sub-processes. By identifying and understanding the different routine processes, their records will be easier to maintain and catalog. There are books dedicated to creative actions and processes in records management. These allow for more inventiveness on the part of individuals because they do not follow everyday actions or steps. Two types of systems analysis, functional and process analysis, are commonly used in records analysis. The functional analysis breaks down an organization's activities and processes from the top to the bottom. Process analysis is not as broad as functional analysis. It is used to assess routine processes and how they are completed, including the inputs and outputs. Paper-based systems are traditional systems that have been used to maintain records before electronic or hybrid records were created. The steps involved in a paper-based system are as follows: arranging and grouping, building files, elementary, and intermediate, and metadata. Electronic records lack the restrictions that paper records have. They are not as limited by physical space and can be easily created and accessed. They are easily classified and can contain more metadata than the traditional paper method. Managing electronic records include classifying, folders, and directories, groupings, and metadata. Even as more and more companies attempt to go paper-free, it is not always possible to remove paper files from the records. This is how hybrid systems become necessary. Hybrid systems carry their own complications and limitations, but awareness of the potential pitfalls will help prevent problems. There is the risk of multiple copies of documents being saved even when clear guidelines are in place. Excess paperwork can cause confusion, particularly when the records are being purged or archived. Additionally, there is the risk of some documents not being filed at all due to miscommunications. Regardless of the types of records or details of the records program, it is important to make sure that they are maintained properly. It is better to prevent a disaster than address it afterward. Be aware of any risks and make sure that everyone understands the proper procedures for storing and handling important documents and records. Proper records maintenance will also address archives and the correct records conversion. Tips for record maintenance. Paper records can be stored in centralized or decentralized locations. In many organizations, centralization of paper records is not logical or functional. Whether stored in a centralized location or not, it is important to be aware of the processes around them as well as the risks involved. Electronic records, even with centralized storage, can be kept at other places where people can keep records: computer hard drives, flash drives, storage servers. Unauthorized storage should not be encouraged. Just like with paper records, performing a risk analysis will help improve maintenance before any issues arise. Records that are stored for an indefinite period will need to be transferred to archives. Guidelines for archives are available, such as in the National Archive. Regardless of the location, those responsible must have both technical understanding as well as record and archives expertise. The environment and security of the archive must be precise. Humidity can damage records, and inadequate security can place the organization in jeopardy. Careful research must be done before any archive creation. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss any video.